So this is part 2 of Are They All Playing Games? And let me go back a little step to Chris Proudfoot telling us that this tape that supposedly the PI uncovered, which has been around for 10 plus months, from what I understand, and already been deemed insignificant. He's telling us he can't believe that it took so long for this to surface. So obviously that's not telling the truth, that's being untruthful on the part of Christopher Proudfoot. What this also indicates to me is a pattern where he expects the audience to believe something or accept as fact something that he is about to tell us. He's not saying this has been around for so long, and he's not telling you this was just found and so on and so on. He's saying, I can't believe it took so long for this to surface. He's going a step above lying, actually, in my opinion, where he actually just goes by a script that likely him and Katie have developed. And that script is one where you accept a premise and build a narrative on top of it. Sort of when he said, the $1 million question is, why did Sebastian walk out of that house? Who says he walked out of that house? He's telling you, I can't believe it took so long for this video to surface. Who says it took that long? There is a pattern of lying here where he builds a narrative on top of a narrative, or rather has a narrative in the back of his mind and operates from there, where he actually asks questions. How can this be? How did this happen? How did it happen that Sebastian walked out of the door? Because obviously he did. That's the $1 million question, right? Not where's Sebastian, but the $1 million question is, why did he walk out of the door? He didn't say he must have walked out of the door. He accepts you. He expects you to accept already. That's what he did. That's him doubling down, building one lie on top of another lie. Or rather, creating a question and a storyline on top of a fabrication that is already supposed to be accepted in order for you to continue listening to him. Are you guys following me? You can say, this video just came out. It must have just come out. But he steps it, he goes way above that, where he actually complains about it taking so long, meaning you have to accept, oh okay, I guess it's been out so long. I mean, it's just come out. He doesn't say it's just come out. It took that long. He's expecting you to accept it as a fact, as he expected you to accept it as a fact that Sebastian Rogers walked out of that door on his own. That is something that is fabrication, fabricators of reality, a fabrication of reality. That is building a storyline already in your mind, or probably Katie Proudfoot came up with that. having seen her work, and Chris is just great at reciting it. He runs right with it, and he sticks to the script, by the way. Katie seems to fumble. She probably has a mind that's racing and looking at all of the different directions. And Chris strikes me like the type of guy who's like, oh, that's a good one. I'm gonna do that. I wanna do this. I'm gonna present this with the utmost confidence and sell it because he believes in it. He's the type of person who loves to have something to show for. And it is similar to him telling us the best part is Sebastian did it without any evidence left behind, or he did it without leaving any evidence behind whatsoever. He admires that. Of course he wasn't talking about Sebastian, but that there was no evidence left behind whatsoever. He enjoys to present something that he thinks is airtight and absolutely brilliant. The same way Katie Proudfoot hides behind his confidence, he hides behind her ability to think and simply becomes the mouthpiece, which is what he has been. So much so that more people in the beginning suspected him than Katie, even though he was 3 hours away. Of course, we need to also think about when was he there, how long ago, when wasn't he there, how long did it take, what time did you show up for work actually. So there were inconsistencies as well. So all of that is still on the table, whether or not he would have had the time to drive down there after 10 p.m. when the thud occurred and make it back to work to get there by what, 7 a.m.? Wasn't that the latest, or 6:30 or 7, something like that? Yeah. We need to revisit this because I don't expect law enforcement to tell the public the truth. Many times they have not done it. And many times it was part of their efforts to there was often a reason behind that. So law enforcement doesn't need to tell you the truth. Not the suspect, not the public. And how much have they actually investigated? I don't know. Tony and Seth think that they know a lot, but can they prove it? And if they know it now, have they been able to collect the right evidence when they had a time to do it? All of this is a possibility because it's been a year. So Chris says we went from potentially not having a sighting to potentially having a sighting. Again, the potentially is important to him because that's all he needs. He needs something where he can point towards and say, go look at that. He knows the tape's been debunked. Go look at that. Why are you looking at us? Go look over there. We don't want you to look at us, examine us, and so on. Having a sighting, and it kind of changes, like, wait a minute, now we may have something to actually work off of and move forward with. Move on and see where this goes. See, lean back, relax, and see where it takes us. Stop everything else. Don't look at us. We will get a break because that's what they want. They want to get a break from the attention, the growing negative attention that they're receiving. They've had it. He is done. He probably is going to realize he's been played also, even though he is the catalyst. So he is a part of this. See where it goes. Now then he goes, exercise every avenue to its fullest. Every avenue. Remember he told you, look everywhere. Everything, everywhere. Spin your wheels, waste your time, go through the woods. Just don't pay attention to us. He wants to exhaust you. Katie said similar things. She wants people to get tired. And she's asking, before she was asking, if you have a camera, if you're able and willing. So if you're already tired, don't worry about it. Just chill out. Now here's the thing that Chris started saying, and he was interrupted, and I wished he wasn't. It doesn't have to. What was he going to say? It doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be anything. It doesn't have to be. Doesn't have to lead to Sebastian. What was he going to say? That is the worst thing that really can happen in statement analysis, when you have the guy on a, not the hot seat, the warm seat where he's being fluffed up and where he is feeling cozy enough to speak uninterrupted without having to defend himself, and then he gets going the way that he was on the lives, where he felt he was among friends. It doesn't have to. It's too bad I don't have that statement, because he got interrupted and he didn't continue that. So he knows there is nothing to this tape, but the fact of the matter is that he wants you to look at the potential, and he doesn't want to give up the potential. He had time to look at it, he saw the tape, but well, that's good enough. If people think potentially that is something, if people stay busy, if people get so sidetracked that they wear themselves out, that they search the forest, that they argue online, and so on, until they say, you know what, I have my own life to live, let's forget about it. When in reality, everything is very simple and it doesn't take a lot of energy to do all this. If you stay on the right track, and that's how statements analysis does. It helps us stay on the right track. He's telling you the same thing Katie told you. She told you, if it's possible, it needs to be confirmed. The possibility needs to be confirmed. She's telling you she wants you to believe that there may be something. So she can always point at it. What about this? What about the tape? We still have to look at it. We haven't looked at it yet. Really? It needs to be enhanced? Okay. In other words, building a cloud of confusion around you that people cannot penetrate. That is the goal here, in my opinion. That is what they came up with. That is the script. And this script, I have no doubt that was Katie. The same with saying, the $1 million question is, why did he walk out of the door? Not just to say he walked probably out of this door, but you need to first accept this narrative of mine, and let's have a discussion and a question, and at the center of that is this fabrication. So while you lose yourself in the discussion about something and about the domestic violence and everything else, you are always required to assume Sebastian actually walked out of this house, which I do not think he did. There is no indication. As a matter of fact, I am sure, I don't want to say 100% because nothing in life is, but I am pretty much 100% sure he did not do that. So it doesn't have to what? Doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to turn out to be anything. Is that what he was going to say? Just keep seeing. Just move forward. See where it goes. Let it run on its own. Just sit back and watch. And wait. And if police doesn't revisit it because they already know there's nothing to it, then let's keep on waiting anyways. Exercise every exercise. Interesting term too. Interesting choice. Exercise. Like, get rid of your energy. Exercise every avenue to its fullest. Meaning, it doesn't matter if there's something else like them that is full of red flags. Don't get interrupted. Don't let facts interrupt you. Just exhaust all your efforts. And then he says it doesn't have to. Well, he got lucky, he got interrupted. So Katie goes, anyone that's willing, don't let him become forgotten. Again, she says, anyone. Not everyone, anyone that is willing. She's already telling you, don't worry about it. Does it sound like maternal instinct coming through? Maternal instinct is that you are focused on your own child. You have the maternal bond to your own child. And Sebastian hasn't become forgotten. Isn't that what they have a problem with? He has not become. There is no chance he will be forgotten because interest in him is growing. And with that, suspicion towards Chris and Katie. So why is she telling us that? Anyone that's willing, don't let him become forgotten. Do you really want to remember all of this? Are you sure this is so interesting to you? Well, don't let him become lost in the next story. There have been a lot of next stories, but this case continues to be at the forefront. This case continues to capture the interest of the public. And again, the only problem is that a lot of people get sidetracked, arguing, talking about insignificancies, taking the bait of the people who, in my opinion, have the agenda of sidetracking you. And a lot of people are being sidetracked who otherwise would be able to point the fingers into the right direction and demand that there are more answers, but they get lost. So maybe law enforcement sees all that and says, you know what, forget it. These people, they're not serious. They just want to entertain themselves with who's sniffing what in the forest and so on and so on. Anyways, because we're never going to stop, she says that. We're never going to stop. Right, because you don't expect any results. You don't expect him to be found. As a matter of fact, you know he will not be found. So in three different occasions, Katie says just, and Chris talks almost immediately after. So I have said before, I think that was their safe word. When she says just, it means now I'm stuck and now I need you. Remember him. That's something you would say at an obituary, in an obituary, or at a memorial of somebody who passed and whose life work shall not be forgotten. But that's about the past. What about the future you're supposed to have with your son, whom you say you want to watch grow into a young man. Why is remembering the word she chooses? Sure, Seth remembers all of the things he did with Sebastian and he is stuck with them. But he's actively looking. He is stuck and he's looking, has so much hope that he at least wants to believe Sebastian will be found and needs that. He needs that. If you stop searching, you lose hope. So he keeps on searching. And it doesn't matter whatever, you know. That's the one thing that keeps him going, the hope. It's very different with Chris and Katie. So she says, don't let Sebastian be forgotten, but don't let him supersede other children. There we go now. There we go. Don't let him be forgotten. Other children, the maternal bond is so strong, you wouldn't be able to worry about other children. It's very similar to Casey Anthony now wanting to reintroduce herself to the public, meaning she wants you to forget what she did and become known for something else. And that's part of the sociopathy. It's part of it where she will act as if nothing happened and expect everybody else to forget because she has moved on. She has moved on and she wants the public to move on. She's not living in reality. So don't let him supersede other children. She says they all deserve just as much, if not more, attention. She's telling you again, look elsewhere. Don't stay stuck in this case. She's telling people to back off or pause, as she said to the so-called haters. I want them to pause. They're doing anything that they can to keep you looking into different directions. As for the bike riding thing, yeah, compare the two videos. The original and the one that was first published. It's a big difference. Why would somebody do something like that? Why is there a big argument about that? Because it is not about finding Sebastian. The tape doesn't prove anything, even if he taught Sebastian how to ride the bike. But didn't Seth say he was the one who taught him how to ride? Well, either way, this doesn't take away from the abuse and the hatred and him finalizing his ultimatum, giving a final ultimatum. It's me or him. So, if there's anything that I can say, don't let them play you. Use what you learn in statement analysis and apply it all the time. Every time somebody tries to sidetrack. Once that kicks in and you got the hang of it, it's almost impossible to pay attention to nonsense when somebody comes at you and attempts to get you involved into a thought that leads nowhere. And that's all they got. That's all they're going to do. That's all that they will continue to do. And I hope that after this video, things will change and people will say enough is enough.